Good day, everyone. I am Mr. Junelo Vera. My report is all about Chapter 13, Development of Large-Scale Student Assessment Tests. I am the first reporter for the last chapter. Intended Learning Outcomes, or the ILO. At the end of the Chapter 13, students are expected to trace the development process of a large-scale assessment test. Let's dive into the first slide. Review of classroom test development process. Planning the test, which specifies purpose of the test, learning outcomes, test blueprint, test format, number of items. There are 3 points in review of classroom test development process. First of all is the planning. When planning a classroom test, it is essential to specify the purpose of the test, the learning outcomes that it will assess in the test blueprint, which includes the test format, the number of items. Here's the breakdown of each element and some support for each. Purpose of the test. The purpose of the test should be clearly defined. It is to assess knowledge, understanding, application, or a combination of this. Understanding the purpose helps in selecting appropriate test items and formats. Secondly is the learning outcomes, which is clearly outlined the learning outcomes that the test aims to assess. This should align the educational objectives of the course or unit. Each learning outcome should be tied to specific content or skills that show the students are expected to demonstrate. And test blueprint. The test blueprint outlines the overall structures of the test, including the format and the number of items for each section. On content area, it helps ensure that the test adequately covers the learning outcomes and assesses the desired knowledge and skills. That is all about planning the test. So be carefully planning the test with a clear understanding of its purpose, the learning outcomes being assessed, and the test blueprint. You can create a well-structured and effective assessment tool. Let's go to the next slide. Items construction follows the table of specifications. This is the second point, item construction. In item construction, it is crucial to ensure that the test items accurately measure what they are intended to measure and are aligned with the learning objectives or content being assessed. This involves carefully reviewing and revising the items. This is the third part, which is the review and revision. So this help to improve their quality. The reviewing and revising. Under on it first is the judgmental approach. Both before and after administration is used to assess the quality of the items before administration. Experts or judges evaluate the items to ensure their accuracy, alignment, and comprehensibility. After administration, the items are reviewed again to determine if any revision of improvements are needed because on empirical evidence from the test takers' performance. Second is the empirical approach. Specifically, obtaining item statistics in the quality form are used after the test has been administered. This involves analyzing the statistical properties of the items, such as difficulty, discrimination, and reliability, to assess the quality and effectiveness in measuring the intended construct. While all mentioned approaches are important in item construction, and review ensuring accuracy and alignment of test content is specifically focused on the quality of the items themselves, making it the correct answer option. Let's move on to the next slide. Standards test development process. As we can see, it is in a form of cycle. The standard test development process involves several key steps to ensure the creation of a valid and reliable assessment tool. Create framework for the first point. This initial phase involves defining the purpose and objectives of the test, identifying the target audience, and determining the content and format of the test. Test developers also establish the test administration's procedures and considered any ethical considerations. Second, make blueprint. In this step, the second developers create a detailed outline or blueprint of the test This includes specifying the content areas or domains to be covered, the number and types of question or tasks in each domain, and the way of importance assigned to each domain. Third, write questions. Test items should as multiple choice questions, say prompts or performance tasks. Test developers ensures that the items are aligned with the test objectives and are of appropriate difficulty level. They also consider factors such as item format, item clarity, and item bias. For the number four is the content review. The newly developed items undergo a rigorous review process by subject matter experts or content specialists. They evaluate items for accuracy, relevance, clarity, and appropriateness. Feedback from the review is used to revise and improve the items as needed. Number five, fairness review. Fairness review before finalizing the test, a small scale point or tryout is conducted to gather data on performance of the items. This helps identify any issue with item difficulty, discrimination, or clarity. The data collected during the tryout phase is analyzed to make informed decisions about item selection and modification. And six, editorial review. Once the items have been reviewed, revised, and validated, they are assembled into a complete test form or multiple forms. Test developer ensures that the test forms are equivalent in terms of content coverage and difficulty level. They also consider factors such as test length and item sequencing. For the number seven is the stakeholders review. Test developers establish the criteria on benchmark for interpreting test scores. This involves determining the passing score or cut-off point of separates different level of performance. Number eight, pilot testing. The finalized test forms are administered to target audience following standard procedures. Test administrators ensure proper test security, timing, and instructions to maintain the process integrity of the assessment process. Number nine is the statistical review. Test responses are scored using predetermined scoring rubrics or algorithms. The score are then analyzed to provide meaningful interpretations and feedback to test takers. Statistical analysis such as item analysis and score equating may be conducted to ensure fairness and comparability across different test forms. Lastly is the number 10, which is ready for use. Ready for use after the test has been administered, feedback is collected from test takers, test administrators, and other stakeholders. This feedback is used to evaluate test effectiveness, identify areas for improvement, and guide future revision of the test. So, overall, the goal is to develop a valid, reliable, and fairness assessment tool that accurately measures the intended knowledge, skills, or abilities. So in the next slide, we can see that step in developing tests by ATS. So ATS means Education Testing Service. So ATS stands for that. So in the other side, there is a case steps. In the other side is fundamental question to be addressed. So in step one, defining objectives. In the first step of developing tests, ETS Educational Testing Service focus on defining the objectives of the test. This involves addressing several fundamental questions. Who will take the test and for what purpose? ETS needs to identify the target audience for the test and determine the specific purpose it will serve. This could be for educational assessment, certification, admission, or other purposes. Second is what skills and or areas of knowledge should be tested. So the ETS needs to determine the specific skills or knowledge areas that the test should assess. This could be include subject specific knowledge, critical thinking skills, problem solving abilities, or other relevant competencies. And number three is how should test takers be able to use their knowledge. So the ATS needs to consider how the test taker should be able to apply their knowledge in real world situations. This helps in designing test items that measure the practical application of knowledge rather than the mere memorization. The question for number four is what kind of question should be included? How many of each kind? ATS needs to decide on the types of questions that will be included in the test. This could include multiple choice questions, essay questions, problem solving tasks, or other formats. The distribution and number of each question type should also be determined. Then the fifth question is how long should the test be and how difficult should the test be? So ATS needs to determine the appropriate length of the test, considering factors such as the time available for the testing and the desired level of the precision and measuring test takers' abilities. Additionally, the difficulty level of the test should be established to ensure it appropriately challenges the test takers. By addressing these fundamental questions, ATS establishes clear objectives for the test, which serve as the foundation for the subsequent step in test development. So the second step, case step, is item development committees. So step 2 in developing test by ETS is the formation of item development committees. These committees play a crucial role in the test development process. They are responsible for various tasks such as defining test objectives and specification, ensuring test questions are unbiased, determining the test format considering the supplemental tests, materials, reviewing tests, questions, and writing test questions. The committee members are experts in their respective fields and possesses the necessary knowledge and experience to contribute to the development of high-quality test items. They work together to create test questions that accurately assess the knowledge and skills being tested. By involving a diverse group of committee members, ETS ensures the test questions are fair, unbiased, and representative of the content being assessed. The committee members collaborate to review and refine the test questions, ensuring that they meet the required standard and are suitable for the intended test takers. Overall, the item development committees play a critical role in the test development process by ensuring the quality and the validity of test questions. Their expertise and collaboration contribute to the creation of the reliable and effective assessment. Step 3, or the case step 3, writing and reviewing questions. In this step, item developers and reviewers ensure that each question meets two important criteria. First, each question should have only one correct answer among the options provided in the test. This ensures that the test takers have a clear and unambiguous choice to make. Second, the question should conform to the style rules used throughout the test. This ensures consistency in the presentation and formatting of the questions, making it easier for test takers to understand and respond to them accurately. Now, in this step 4, the development of tests by ETS Educational Testing Service, the pretest is a crucial step. During the pretest, items are administered to a sample group that is similar to the population that will be tested. The purpose of the pretest is to gather important information about the tests, items, and make necessary revision before the actual test administration. The pretest helps in determining the difficulty levels of each question. This information is valuable for ensuring that the test adequately assess the knowledge and skills of the test takers. If a question is found to be too easy or too difficult during the pretest, it can be adjusted to better align with the intended difficulty level. Additionally, the pretest helps identify any ambiguities or misleading aspects of the questions. If a question is found to be unclear or confusing to the pretest participants, it can be revised or eliminated to ensure that it accurately measures the intended construct. Furthermore, the pretest also helps in evaluating the alternative answer choices. If incorrect answer options are consistently chosen by the pretest participant, it indicates that the used option may be needed to be revised or replaced to improve the validity and reliability of the test. Overall, the pretest is a critical step in the test development process as it allows for the identification and refinement of the test items, ensuring that the final test is fair, valid, and reliable. Now, let's move to the next slide. Step 5, detecting and removing unfair questions. Fundamental questions to be addressed. After pre-testing tests, reviewers re-examine the items. The fundamental question to be addressed is whether any question in the test are unfair or unbiased towards certain groups of test takers. The goal is to ensure fairness and equal opportunity for all test takers. And step number 6, assembling the test. The fundamental question to be addressed is whether the intended answer for each question are indeed the correct answers. This step involves organizing and arranging the test items in a logical and coherent manner. Lastly is the step 7, which is test questions are functioning properly. The fundamental question to be addressed is whether the test is working as intended. This step involves checking if the test questions are functioning properly, including factors such as clarity, formatting, and technical functionality. So overall, this provides an overview of the key steps involved in developing tests by ATS or Educational Testing Service. It highlights the importance of ensuring fairness, accuracy, and functionality in the test items to create a reliable and valid assessment tool. So that's all for my part of the report, and thank you for the time, and to be continued by my co-reporters. God bless.